Triple E EDC back again with another knife video. This is the Finch Cimarron. I've been wanting to review this knife for a while, but I'm finally getting around to it. Let's do some size comparisons right off the bat, and I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about the knife. So this is the Benchmade Super Freak and Mini Freak. As you can see, this is a really slender knife, which is going to make it a great EDC. Here is the Benchmade Bugout and the Benchmade 940, which is a good slender comparison to it. Probably the best size comparison is going to be that 940. And just for good measure, here's the Mini 940, the 945. Here is the Kershaw Epistle and the Tactile Knife Company Rockwall. And probably the knife that this reminded me the most of, although I don't have the satin version of it, the drop point version, is the CRKT LCK. So the LCK, which now comes in the LCK Plus, which is probably a little bit more like this size because this is a little bit smaller. The drop point satin version is this blade shape pretty much to a T. So it really reminded me, you know, not only size-wise, but of the blade shape and everything of the LCK. Now, one of the differences is going to be this is a flat grind, this is a hollow grind, but other than that, it's very similar in design aesthetic. All right, and by the way, in no means do I mean that that's a ripoff or anything like that. That's a pretty common blade shape. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the good and the bad, and what is Finch Knife Company. So I saw Finch Knife Company on Big Red EDC's channel, which is a great channel, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check it out. But he loves Finch Knives, and he always talks about the owners are great and everything. So I reached out to the owners of Finch Knives. I did buy this. This was bought with my funds. But I just wanted some background information on the company, and you know, they said that they wanted to bring a sort of classic aesthetic to modern knives and modern materials, and I think they were very successful in that. I love their logo. Their logo is fantastic, and one of the cool things about it is that I don't have it here with me right now. I wish I had my flashlight with me, but you can charge this up. This is glow in the dark. The shield is glow in the dark. The shield itself is glow in the dark, which I think is a really cool touch. Another good thing I like about this is the ergonomics. It has really, you know, just the general neutral ergonomics of, you know, what you'd expect out of a 940 for the most part, which is great. This ergonomics on here is probably going to be about a 7.5, 7.5. Great neutral ergonomics on this thing, which I like quite a bit. The clip is milled titanium, which I like. It's effective, it's useful, it goes in and out of the pocket pretty easily, and but you know, just be aware that you're going to have a little bit sticking up right here. I don't mind knives sticking up, but some people might, so just something to keep in mind. The colors on the G10 I think are really cool. This is the tan and the forest green, I believe is what it's called. By the way, there's a link to this knife below from DLT Trading. If you want to purchase this knife, it'll help the channel to click that link and purchase through there. Or if you want to purchase any knife through DLT, go through that link, and it'll really help the channel and help me do more of these giveaways. This knife itself was a giveaway knife, so you know, thank you again for your support on the channel. Anyway, continuing with the review, the blade itself actually is really, really nice on this. The tip on this and the way it comes to such a fine tip, it makes it ideal for piercing, and it still has, with a quick taper down here, enough meat behind it so that you don't need to worry about snapping the tip, which is, I think, a good touch, especially since, you know, the widest part of the blade ends about right here. So I like the fact that they continued a slow taper down until that quick taper at the end on here. The blade shape itself is extremely good for long cutting strokes, which I like quite a bit, since EDC is going to be a lot of cardboard and, you know, long stroke cuts. So I like that as well. And this is on bearings and has pretty smooth action for being such a light blade. The detent is dialed in, as you can see, no problems. And for such a light blade, it really does drop shot. I probably need to oil it again, but when I oiled it before, it was very, very drop shot, which was great. This is a liner lock, so you know, you're going to get nice, consistent. You don't have to worry about squeezing too hard or anything. I like that as well. And you get your choice of several different color variations, color combinations on this. So you're not stuck. If you don't like the green, you don't like the tan, there's several other options for you as well, which is another plus. Fit and finish on this is excellent. As you can see, the finish on here is beautiful, and the fit is completely flush, completely, everything's, you know, chamfered as far as finishing goes. You know, you can see the transitions, and this has a little bit of texture on it. This is fully smooth, but it feels like there's texture on underneath. I don't know how to explain it. It's like it's smooth, but your hand will still get stuck on it as texture. I don't know if that helps you guys, but that's how I'll describe it. The blade steel on this is 14C28N, which is a great blade steel, one of my favorite budget blade steels. At a price range of $0 to $50, I like a 9CR 18 MOV is probably one of my favorite steels. At a range of $50 to $100, obviously, you know, the amazing deals that you know, where you can get M390 or 20CV or S35 VN, those are always great options at that price range. But most knives in this price range are going to be, you know, 14C28N, D2, you're going to get VG10, you're going to get, you know, but out of those other steels, VG10, D2, you know, 14C28N, I like 14C28N. It's a great steel, Sandvik steel. So, yeah, this is a great EDC steel. Seems to be treated pretty well, and it's stood up so far to some light use. So, as far as the knife itself, as far as I should say the bad on this knife is a couple of things. One is the fact that you sort of have the sharpening choil here. I think they could have done a little better on the choil. The way the transition on this thing here, you have jimping here. You don't really need the jimping here. I don't know why they have the jimping here. Instead of that jimping, they could have, you know, dug that out a little bit and created a little mini choil here, and I thought that would have been great and giving you a lot more control on the blade. That being said, if you're careful, you can still choke up on the blade. Just be a little wary that your finger is going to be close to the blade right there. Other than that, the screws on here are T6. So let's go ahead and double check to be sure. Here's the trusty Weehaw bit set. And yeah, these are T6 screws. I don't like T6 screws on here because they tend to strip out. I haven't opened it up to make sure, but I prefer to have T8 screws at least on the body, and usually a T10 if possible on the pivot. The pivot here is actually a T8, I believe. Yep, T8. So hardware could be a little better on here. Other than that, conclusion on this is actually this is a pretty good knife. And at the $89 price point that it's at, it's actually pretty good value. I don't think it's the best value on the market. And I think there are some other, you know, better knives at better values on the market. But, you know, if you're generally sitting in that price range, the $89 price range for knives, this is an awesome option. It's very, very good quality, and the presentation was good. I remember being impressed when I opened the box. So all that is great, and you know, I can recommend it. Yes, I can recommend this knife. Again, I'm not, you know, just to be clear, it's not the top knife in its group, but it is going to be a very, very good option in the group. And if you like this style, I definitely recommend it. Go ahead and get it. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and hit me up in the comments. Always happy to answer your questions. Until next time, Triple E EDC out.